Hello guys, welcome back. So in today's video, we are going to discuss the most asked question ever we have received is how to score 60 plus in your company law subject. Okay, before we get into this exam strategies on how many marks should you be attempting, how should you study, how many revisions do you need, in what sequence if you study it would be better for you guys. Okay, before we get into all of that, let's understand about company law. Not, I mean to say, let's understand how important company law is. See, this is going to be that one subject in your complete CS journey, which is going to be very important and has a significant importance in understanding other subjects as well. Now, if you want to understand security laws well, automatically you need to know company law well. When your company law basics are good, you end up doing pretty good in CMS, right? And when you go to your CS professional, you have your corporate restructuring. What is corporate restructuring? It is nothing but it is some or the other where evolving from company law. Most of the provisions of corporate restructuring are included in your company law subject. And you go for insolvency and bankruptcy. Like insolvency and bankruptcy, mainly in insolvency and bankruptcy code of 2016, we mainly discuss about companies going insolvent. So for that, you need the basics of company law. Without the basics of company law, it will be very difficult for you guys to clear your CS examinations. I'm not talking about executive or anything, but once you have a really good understanding about about company law, automatically your CS journey is going to be comparatively smoother. Okay, you guys are prepared for it. Okay, you guys have already signed up. Now you must be someone who, if you're watching this video, you're either considering to join CS, or you have already started taking, or you have already started studying for CS. Okay, you know what it takes to clear CS by now, right? And cracking company law is going to be biggest milestones in your life. Trust me on this, because it's always going to be on your resume that you got an exemption in company law, and that's going to give you so much amount of importance and value when you enter the interview room. When you speak to the interviewer and you say that, sir, I have got an exemption in CS executive company law, trust me, they will value you and they will consider you for that position, because it is not so easy to get an exemption in company law. Even if anyone is scoring 50 plus in company law, they are doing pretty good, they're doing really well. That is how high the expectations of ICSI is for your company law. They have not just been asking you direct questions, what is section 188. They've not been asking you that. They've been asking you practical questions. They've been asking you case study questions where you need to apply your mind. You need to apply your mind and understand the question, understand the situation, and apply this situation to the legal provisions under Companies Act 2013, and then draw your conclusion. In a way, I have told you on how to write answers for company law. Okay, let's start with that. First things first, your answer will have three parts. One, always start with the quoting the provision. Always quote the provision first. Say, as per section 188, so and so. As per 185, so and so. Quoted as per section 185 of Companies Act 2013, it relates to loans to directors, and what are the provisions, list it out. Do not directly go and jump and try to answer the question. Then see, generally how will the questions be is, they, I think you guys know it. For those of you who do not know how the questions are going to be, generally the questions are practical questions. They are case study based questions where they give you a scenario. You have to understand the scenario and give a solution for it. You are here not expected to mug up things, but ICSI is expecting you to know the provisions to an extent that you can advise the clients. The questions are testing your advisory abilities. They will ask, is the decision of the company secretary valid? Is the recommendation of the company secretary valid? Is the decision of the company valid? So all these kind of questions is what you will be preparing for. Okay. So let's get started. So whenever you write your answer, it has to be in three parts. First thing, state the law. Okay, quote the section numbers if you remember, but remember, if you are not sure about section numbers, please do not write them. If you are sure about section numbers, and you should be sure about section numbers, there is no excuse for it. I understand it is humanly not possible to remember all the section numbers, but at least 80 to 90% of the section numbers you should be remembering. And even if a person who writes section numbers and a student who is writing the exact same answer but without the section numbers, he will end up scoring less than the student who ends up quoting the section numbers. Okay, remember, this is important for your company law. Section numbers might not be important for all the subjects, but for company law, section numbers are very much important and you need to remember. And I will be telling you in this video on how to remember your section numbers as well. First thing is first, state the law as per section 185 of Companies Act 2013. As per section 188 of Companies Act 2013, in accordance with section 42 of Companies Act 2013, quote the provisions, state what the law is telling. Do not directly jump to say that yes, the decision of company secretary is valid. No, the decision of company. Do not jump into that. Your first paragraph and the first part of your answer is always going to be state the law. Then your second part would be analysis. It is analyzing the provision in depth, analyzing the provision, understanding how you are. Now, this is the important part, because whatever you have stated, whichever provision that you have stated above, now you start interconnecting the provision with the case study. Okay, now now let's say the question is about private placement. You would have spoken about private placement in the first point, in the first part of your answer, as per section 42, in accordance with section 42 of Companies Act 2013. And now you will start connecting this provision with the case study. This is your second part. And now moving to the third part is your conclusion, where you are ending your answer. Okay, where based upon your stating of provision and your analysis, you are coming to a conclusion. Now is where you say that yes, the decision of company secretary is valid. Okay, it's just an example that I'm giving. And one more important thing that you guys need to do in your examination is underline. Okay, underline keywords and underline only the things you are 100% sure about. If you know that this section number is correct, if section 42 is for private placement, underline section 42. Underline section 42, because the evaluator's attention will now be in your control. When you underline something, even if you don't want to see it, you end up observing it. For example, I've underlined this. What did I underline? All of you know I've underlined total pages. That's how you show evaluator what you know. Because an evaluator is a person who is checking hundreds of papers in a single day. Now you need to simplify his life. You need to simplify his life as much as possible. When he sees your answer sheet, it should be easy for him to evaluate your question paper, and you can draw his attention to all the correct answers that you have written, all the correct points you have written, so that you can get the best marks out of this. So these are very small, minute tricks. It's not trick, but it's minute steps that you can take. These are your actionable steps which you can take to score 60 plus in your examination. Okay, now we have prepared a study planner for you guys. Okay, we have prepared for the other subjects as well, and soon you will be getting all the study planners. Already few of the study planners you would have received it, but these are your study planners. And now we will be discussing on how to break down each and every subject. And now when we are talking about company law, we will try to understand on how to score well by going through each and every chapter and what have been the average marks in the past year attempts, and then coming to a conclusion on how to score well. This is going to be the agenda for today. Okay, Now let's look at company law in practice. Okay, this is your 90-day study planner. Okay, now how many chapters do you have? After the chapters that they have removed everything, you're left with 17 chapters. Totally, that would come to 832 pages if you're doing it from your ICSI material. Okay, so then we have divided it into your first reading phase, then revision, second revision, then mock test, and then you have your final revision. Okay, so this is how we have broken it down for you so that it is simpler for you guys to understand and take actionable steps to clear your examination and score exemption in company law. That would be the happiest thing that me as a faculty would ever hear. Scoring exemption in company law is a privilege and a hallmark that you're going to carry for the rest of your life. Trust me on this. Okay, now first let's go chapter wise. Okay, so majorly you need to focus on chapter 4. Okay, chapter 4, then accounts and auditors, general meetings, directors, okay, board composition and powers, and meetings of the boards. If you calculate these 6 chapters, the marks, okay, average, so this is giving us anywhere between 10 marks. Accounts and auditors is giving us anywhere between 10 to 11 marks. Then it is 15 marks, 11 marks, and 12 marks. Just do the calculation of this: 10, 21, 21, 26, 36, 37, 47, 49, and 59. Approximately 50 marks, bare minimum 50 marks will just come from these chapters: 4, 9, 12, 13, and 14, and 15. Just from these chapters you can expect easily 50 marks. Okay, now I'm still not getting into the in detailed analysis. Okay, we just watch till the end to understand that. Okay, now you're understanding how this is working. Now, and in part B, which is starting from here, okay, see, your part A has 16 marks. Your part A has 16 marks, and part B has 40 marks. This is going to be very important. Listen to me carefully. See, part B has around 6 to 7 chapters. It is comparatively, I'm not saying it is completely easy, but it is comparatively easier from part A. Reason being, it's simple because there are less number of chapters and there is a logical sequence of section numbers. Once you start in general meeting from 96, it will go till 122. Okay, then you will start your section numbers for director's chapter from 149 till 172. Then board meetings will start from 173, correct, and KMP will start from 193, 194. Okay, so it's easier to once, yes, it will require revisions, but my suggestion would always be capitalize on your part B, capitalize on your company laws pathway, not just for company law, even for the most of the other subjects. Here we are not discussing other subjects, but in CS executive most of the papers can be easily cleared by focusing on part B. Okay, so now let's say out of this 40 marks you end up scoring 30. Okay, you end up scoring 30. Okay, here's where half of the analysis is over. Right here half the analysis is over. Look at it. If you're scoring in part B 30 out of 40, how much are you scoring? 75%, and you're scoring 30 marks already. But to score 30 marks you would need multiple revisions. Okay, one, how can you do it? Of course, multiple revisions. Then second, you will not do not skip anything in part B. Do not skip any chapter in part B, and And okay, and remember section numbers really well. Section numbers. I'm not saying you should not remember for party. You should remember for whole company law paper. You have to remember, but try to remember more number of sections for part B. Then last one, last one. Solve previous year questions. Solve previous year questions. Okay. These are needed. These steps are mandatory for you to clear your company law paper by getting an exemption. Okay. Now see, we are now discussing about part B. What are the steps that you need to take? One, multiple revision. Second, 100% coverage. Then remember the section numbers and solve previous year questions. Okay. This is needed even for part A. I'm not saying this is not needed for part A, but as you are going to focus more on part B, you will need to do this more number of times. You will need at least one additional revision when you compare it with your part A. Okay, remember more number of section numbers, and then make sure that no topic in part B goes untouched. You have to study each and every single topic in company law part B. This is your game plan for 60 marks. Now coming to part A. Let's say in part A, you score 30 marks again, and out of 60 marks, this, how much are you scoring? 50%. That's it. That's it. In part A, even if you score 50% and part B 75% of the marks, your game is over. Now you have easily started touching anywhere between 55 to 65. Anywhere between 55 to 65 is right here. You don't have to worry about it. Now you're understanding why it is. See, just studying is not enough, guys. Just studying is not enough. You see, when you are doing CS, you should study in a way that ICSI is expecting you to study in, right? How you see, your only thing that is standing between you and you becoming CS is just couple of examinations. It's just couple of examinations. The moment you clear these examinations, you're CS. So rather than, of course, you should study, but study in a way that will help you clear your exams, correct? And how can you study that way? You need to have a strategy in place. You cannot blindly open the book and start from just start studying. No, it does not work like that. Of course, you need to complete the syllabus, but there is a step-by-step process that you need to do. You need to have multiple revisions. You need to remember section numbers. You need to solve previous year questions. And most importantly, once you enter the examination hall, you should know what is going to be your game plan for that particular day. What do I mean by game plan? Should I attempt part B first? In part B, which question should I attempt first? How should be my mindset when I enter into my examination hall? How should I attempt my part A? Right? So, and which are the chapters which is your strength? You need to be very much aware about your preparation. Only then you are going to clear your CS exams. This advice has worked for many of our students, and it's been working, and the results are speaking for itself. Okay, now it is your turn to take the decision. Okay, and it is not going to be an easy journey. You have to put in the hard work, and I am sure that you are going to get the benefit out of it. But what you need the most is consistency and hard work. Really, guys, studying 3 days, studying too much in 3 days and remaining 4 days you relax. No, it does not work that way. You need the consistency. Every single day showing up. At times you might not feel like studying for that particular day, but that's when you need to push yourself hard. That's when you build the momentum. And when you're studying for these exams, one of the most essential resource that I would say is your momentum. Momentum is like your fuel. Momentum is like your energy. You need to protect your energy. You need to protect this momentum. You need to keep on building your momentum day by day. And how do you build your momentum? Simple consistency. Nothing else. It only takes consistency to build your momentum, and that is what is exactly going to work in your favor in your examination, right? So this is how, so a lot has to do with your mindset as well. You need to change your mindset from your degree exams, from your 12th exams. Now you need to start thinking like a professional. You can't think yourself like a small degree student or a 12th standard student. You need to start thinking beyond your age. Probably most of you guys will be pretty young, so now is the time when you start thinking like a professional. You start preparing for becoming a CS. Okay, that is what ICSI wants from a student who has cleared their exams. Okay, now let's move forward. So I think now it's pretty much clear on how to score well. And even if you score 60%, 60% in part A, that's 36 out of 60. That's 36 out of 60, which is giving you 60 marks, 60% of the marks. And automatically 30 plus 36 is 66, easily. Okay, but this is not as easy as it looks. Okay, you need to remember section numbers, you need to remember the provisions, you need to revise n number of times to actually do well in your examination. Okay, and also many students have a question about drafting. By the end of this video, you will also have an answer on how to prepare for drafting. I think part A and part B division, I think now you know why that is important. And ICSI always make sure that part B of your question paper is only from part B chapters, and part A of your question paper is always from part A subject, part A chapters. They do not bring part B chapters in part A of the question paper. That is a big favor that ICSI is doing. This will help you strategize better. And I would suggest that if part B genuinely becomes your strong suit or becomes your strength, attempt part B first, because ICSI does not have any issue with you attempting in the order that you are comfortable with. They see, for example, there are 6 questions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. In one, there might be multiple sub questions. These sub questions you should not change the order, but you can start with 3. Okay, go with 1, go with 5, go with 4, go with 2. That is fine. But once you start 3, there will be many sub questions: A, B, C, and D. These 4 have to be in exactly the same order as it is there in the question paper for that particular sub, for that particular main question. Okay, remember, so the sub question order you cannot change, but the main question order you can always change. Now, then you have, and then when you look at charges, distribution of profits, members and shareholders, okay, introduction to company law, these are the chapters which you can probably study. If though I have given you more number of time and more days in this planner, but if you ask me personally, if I knew you guys personally, I would suggest study charges and distribution of profits in a single day. This will help you prepare and give you more time to prepare for important chapters like accounts and auditors, because the charges and distribution of profits are comparatively smaller, and it is easier to remember when you compare it with your other chapters like share and share capital, accounts and auditors, general meetings, directors, right? In those chapters you can take one additional day. So you need to keep on strategizing and keep customizing this planner as per your requirements. Then, so I hope you got a fair idea about it and which chapters you need to focus on. Of course, share and share capital, then accounts and auditors, then comes your part B, general meetings, directors, board composition, and meetings of board and its committees. Okay, these are the chapters that you need to focus on thoroughly and make sure that you are perfect with these chapters so that it will help you score better marks. Okay, and yeah, now coming to drafting. See, many students break their head about drafting. Okay, we will be coming out with videos for drafting as well, but just remember one thing, guys: for drafting you need to know the provision well. If you know the provision well, trust me, drafting becomes simpler. So every section, every provision has certain compliance requirements. You need to pass so and so resolution. You need to know which resolution needs to be passed. if there is any form that you have to file with ROC, the company has to file a form with ROC. The company will not go to ROC, no. Someone on behalf of the company should go to ROC and file that form. So you have to authorize on behalf of the company who is going to file that form. Okay, if you know the compliances well, if you know the provisions well, trust me, guys, your drafting is going to be top notch. And the reason I say this is ICSI will not evaluate drafting answers based on the language, but they would judge you and they would assess you based on your understanding of the provision and how you comply with those provisions. That's it about drafting. We will be coming out with drafting questions solving, so you will have a fair idea about how to solve drafting questions. Okay, so this we have given you the study planner. Okay, so yeah, pretty much that is all that is there. And you also have a tracker. Okay, you also have a tracker where you can track your studies on a daily basis. Okay, chalo guys, I hope this video was helpful and I'll see you guys in the next video. Okay, bye guys.